Hi everyone, it's me, Nessa. I'm here to talk about Pixelshire's first hotfix, #1, that went live on May 16th, 2025. So I wanted to talk about this devlog here and what the developers have changed and what they are working on, as well as my thoughts when I play the game after the hotfix and whether or not I think Pixelshire is in a state where it is ready for you to play and enjoy, and if I would recommend it at this point. I want to go through this kind of fast. I don't want to spend too much time just reading all of the things on the devlog. I will link it in the description and you can definitely go to the Steam page and find it there as well. Let's kind of go through it really quick and see what are some things that they're working on and what are some things that are on their radar. Here are some things that they've changed in the update, and that includes the ability to fill the watering can at any water source, which is a big deal since you could only do it at one place before, but now if you dig your own water tile, then you can also fill your watering can there. I think that was a good call on their part because it did make sense to me that you had to get water from a specific place when you can just make your own water. So I'm glad that they fixed that. Tool changes such as repairing tools below epic rarity now cost 0 coins. I'm sure that is also a really good change because maybe it was costing too much for people to repair their tools. Seasons are now 15 days long. I did some research and the seasons before were only 10 days long. And as far as I know in this game, there's only 2 seasons, summer and winter. So every 10 days, you're gonna rotate between 2 seasons. And I guess the developers thought that was a little too short. So they made it 15 days now. An option to disable the screen shake. This was my #1 complaint and the reason why I couldn't play Pixelshire. So I'm glad that they actually addressed this and made it so you can just turn off the screen shake in the settings. And then they said shop changes. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure the full patch note will go over it in a little bit more detail. So moving down, here's a list of some features that they're working on, and that includes more seasons currently in progress, tooltips on world objects, control rebinding, a toolbar, a crafting material tracker, an option to zoom out or add dedicated screenshot option, and much more. I have a lot of thoughts about this, mainly because Pixelshire is an officially fully released game. The fact that it came out as an official release game with only 2 seasons and the developers are working on fall and spring, I just don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I feel like that should have already been implemented into the game before full release. I'm just iffy on that, for sure. But I'm glad that they're working on it. And then there's also the issue where they're gonna add a toolbar. I just feel like that's very basic things that you would have in your game upon full release. And I hate to compare games, of course, but at the same time, you know, like there's so many great farming and life sim games out right now that Pixelshire would really have to be able to compete with them in order to get your money. So right now, Pixelshire is retailing for $16.99 USD for their introductory price, and normally it's retailing for $19.99 USD. So that is crazy because you can get games such as Fields of Mystria on early access for $13.99, and they come with all the seasons. It comes with a variety of stuff. Everyone changes clothes every season. It's really polished, right? And you can also just get Stardew Valley for I think $15.99 USD. So you can have a whole bunch of stuff for way cheaper than what Pixelshire is asking for and not delivering as much content as the other games that I've listed. And then so we basically get to the patch notes, and they've changed some equipment stuff where tools can no longer be trashed until certain stages. Repairing tools cost 0 coins like they mentioned. There's a repair panel description for wooden tools. In the farming ones, you know, the watering cans can now be refilled in various places, such as dug holes and fountains. There is updated water plant sprite for improved visual feedback. So that one I really like the change because now you can actually see when your little plants are watered because it's a nice blue instead of that darker kind of moist color. So that's really important because the targeting in this game, I think, is still a little bit difficult. There are some times when my watering can will water 4 tiles, sometimes it'll water 5, sometimes it'll water 3. So I'm not really sure if there's like a hidden area where you have to stand in order to get the maximum watering kind of radius for your watering can, because like, I don't know if you guys have played Disney Dreamlight Valley, but in that one the watering can water about like 8 tiles, but it depends on where you stand too, because if you stand at certain places then it will only water 6. So I don't know if it's the same in this game, but there's no specific other targeted areas that highlight whenever you're watering. You just water whatever little target it is, and you might get surprised and have 4 other tiles watered as well. So, it is what it is right now. And then for their shop and economy, they add a warning to the shop when you don't have enough coins. I actually have gotten this warning that I didn't have enough coins, but it's not because I was trying to buy something. It was actually because I was trying to sell something. If I clicked on it and I didn't have enough items in my inventory, then this nice pop-up will come up and say, I don't have enough coins. So it's kind of funny in that regard, but I think that is another bug that they need to fix. Other things they added is a warning in the shop when your cart reaches the maximum stack limit, and a description of the shop panel for item rotation. So that I haven't really encountered too much of, so I can't comment on that. And then for the NPC Shop Updates, now the relevant NPCs are selling wooden versions of their tools. So I think this was a problem where players were trashing their wooden tools, or maybe they ran out of durability and then they had no way to get another one because they didn't have the materials to craft it. So very good to put the wooden tools into shop inventories. Other things we have is gameplay and balance, where items can no longer be consumed or spent if player stats are full. Reduce the numbers of flowers required for this one quest. Reduce grass and tree spawns in the glacial area, which makes sense. World and gameplay changes, like we said, seasons are now 15 days long instead of 10. Rocks in the mine now drop extra treasure. They added seashells. There's new items added to the digging and fishing loot tables. Houses can only be built at a specific stage when you receive material for it. And they renamed the diffusion stone to the moonstone. For magic and talent, incantation speeds were reduced. They changed the transparent background in the talent description, and they added a missing visual button. For controls and UI changes, they swapped the select and buy button. Now there's the tool action button changed from RT to X, and the interaction button changed from X to A. They did remove the sorting button from the chests, which they said will be re-enabled in future builds, but I'm wondering if that was breaking some things. That sucks that they had to remove a sorting feature, because I really like sorting my items in my chest, so that does suck for me. And then for quality of life, they added the screen shake option to the settings to turn it on or off, updated a Lucky Charm quest description, and removed this Tinkle Chub from a fishing quest, added text feedback to show stat gains when consuming food and taking damage, added a night warning to alert players as nighttime approaches, and no visual button is shown for tool wheel if no tool is selected. And then in terms of all the bug fixes, there's fixes in terms of NPCs not following the player, fixes where Nina will not move if you load during a task, fix Bronze and Jack being out of bounds, fix when you're typing in the character creator, then that would change your customization options. So there's a variety of different fixes here for sure, and more fixes are going to come. I'm wondering when the next patch is going to come out and what the developers choose to fix next. I'm very curious about that. So as far as my playthrough, I played for almost 2 extra hours after the hotfix just to see what the game ran like after everything was implemented. I did appreciate seeing a lot of the changes right away, such as being able to turn off the screen shake. Also, the indicator for the plants was really noticeable. I like that you can refill your water everywhere. I accidentally started terraforming next to my crops again, and I thought I was going to have to replant, but they were spared from being dug up. It worked as intended, so I was very happy about that. Jack in my playthrough was no longer stuck in the wall, so I can actually complete that quest and continue. Margarita no longer had limited amounts of crops in her inventory to sell, so I was pretty happy with the changes that I was seeing, and I was able to progress a little bit more in the story, and I built my house, so that was very exciting for me. Of course, I still noticed that there was issues with the game. I mean, even though the watering can is much better now, like I mentioned, it's quite the mystery for me in terms of how many tiles it waters, and I'm really not sure which ways you have to stand to activate that. The uncertainty really made watering a bit clunky for me because I had to slow down my process to water, whatever crops that I missed. Targeting system in this game is still pretty difficult to use, and I'm not sure if it's the targeting or just the interact, because sometimes I would stand next to a tree and try to press the interact button and try to chop it, and then nothing would happen, so I would kind of have to jiggle myself around it and then try again, and then it would take a little bit of time before I start like hitting the tree, and this would happen to every time I chop wood or mine or swing my sword even, so a little bit of a delay in terms of interacting. I think there was a few minutes or seconds in game where I couldn't even interact with anything. So I think I was trying to mine or chop a tree and it would not work at all. So I was pressing all these buttons until it finally decided to work again. I can't say that I would recommend buying Pixelshire right now. There is a lot of work that the developers have to do in order to make this game playable and stable for the mass majority of players. I mean, even though I was able to play, I encountered some bugs, and my friends also encountered a lot of bugs when they started. I think one of my mutuals on Blue Sky could not even move anywhere. So there's a lot of things that need to get worked on. Like I mentioned earlier, this game is expensive comparatively to other games of higher quality. I just did a review on Ever After Falls, and that game is also $19.99 USD. So if you are looking for something that has all 4 seasons and a variety of things to do and is stable, then check out that instead, or check out Fields of Mystria, or if you've never played Stardew Valley again, then check that out. There's plenty of games out there that are equivalent or cheaper than this game that are way more polished and have a lot more to offer. There are my thoughts on Pixelshire. I still don't recommend it this week. I really hope that one week I will be able to recommend it because I love the premise of the game. I love what it has to offer and the promise of what it could be, and I do want to see it succeed. I want to see the developers put in that hard work to get it to a position where I can say, yes, this is a fully released game. Until then, I will continue to try to play it after every hotfix to see if it got better, and if not, then my take is still gonna be, not yet. Not until everything is fixed and it can finally stand on its own. So have you played the game since the hotfix? What's your experience so far? Have you noticed any bugs that went away or bugs that came up? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you like what I do and you want to see more, then please consider liking and subscribing to see more content like this. Until next time, I have been Nessa, and I'll see you later. Bye!